this sink in for a second. A human being used only their thoughts to communicate to millions and millions of people around the world without physically having to do anything. It's fucking incredible. Have you ever dreamed of moving things with your mind? That's a stupid question. Of course you have. Telekinesis, the ability to move things with only your mind, and telepathy, the ability to communicate thoughts without speaking, I'm happy to say are real, and they're here. Well, kind of. Let me explain. Just before Christmas, 62-year-old Philip O'Keefe became the first person ever to write a tweet using only his mind. Definitely an expensive NFT waiting to be made, but that is beside the point. Let this sink in for a second. A human being used only their thoughts to communicate to millions of people around the world without physically having to do anything. More astonishing is the story behind it. Mr. O'Keefe has ALS, and that has caused him to suffer some form of paralysis, particularly in his arms, and it's made a lot of the everyday activities that we take for granted pretty difficult, and in some cases, impossible. But I think that we're getting rid of the impossible part. By utilizing BCI, or brain-computer interfaces, Mr. O'Keefe was able to use his mouse, use his keyboard, and essentially do anything that he wanted on his computer. Now, this kind of technology has been seen before. A famous example is the late Stephen Hawking, who used his cheek muscle to control his voice box device and to also write some of his books. But the next evolution of this technology is to not use any muscles at all. It's purely using one's own thoughts. At the moment, a company called Synchron, headed by fellow Aussie Thomas Oxley, are paving the way in this field. But they're not the only ones. You're probably familiar with Daddy Elon and his company Neuralink, who are attempting to do similar things. Now, while there are many complexities to how this actually works, here are the basics. Some companies such as Neuralink perform open brain surgery on you and implant a chip into your brain that will read the signals and relay the info to some device, say a computer. Synchron use a different method where they insert a catheter through your jugular and then release sensors through your brain's blood vessels. This is what Philip O'Keefe had done to him. Obviously, both are still working hard to improve their products, and potentially both could be very, very successful in the coming years. But the reality is this: we will become telepathic and telekinetic in some form. It's very difficult to envision a future where we're not. Already, you can strongly justify that we are symbiotic creatures. And I'm not talking like Venom, where we have an alien literally attached to us, unless of course the alien that you're thinking of is your mobile phone, in which case that is exactly what I'm saying. You see, some statistics show that people spend up to 4 hours a day looking at their phones. Some say even more. And then you can add laptops and TVs and iPads, and before you know it, some people are spending more than half their waking hours looking at screens. I know people who spend half their day just looking at TikTok, and I don't judge them, by the way. It's actually an amazing app, so play on. But I digress. This is just the beginning. We're headed into a world where everything is connected to the internet. I'm not joking. Your TV, your fridge, your air conditioner, your walls, your music system, your car, all of it connected to the internet. And believe it or not, that's actually a brilliant thing. Imagine all the people that have suffered diseases or injuries that have prevented them from using these basic utilities that will now have access to them. For those suffering from paralysis, this technology gives them an opportunity to control the temperature in their house and to change the channel on their TV, or to just communicate with their loved ones. And also, as robots become more advanced, they may even be able to integrate and manipulate their environment. This could be unbelievably liberating for people who are in these kinds of positions. But will we be happy to stop there? And what I mean by that is, imagine if the bionic eye could see infrared or X-rays or zoom in like a telescope or a microscope. At what point does the bionic eye become so useful and so cool that people with healthy biological eyes would be willing to swap theirs for the bionic one? Considering that the world is eventually going to adopt smart everything, it's only a matter of time before perfectly healthy people are putting their hands up to get microchips in their brain so that they can make use of the somewhat telekinetic and telepathic superpowers. Personally, I think this is bound to happen. And if you're not convinced, think of the Google Home products or Alexa or Siri. These things can already turn on your aircon, turn on your lights, change your music. I'm pretty sure Tesla has a button that can get your car to drive out of the parking spot and find you in the car park. This is all happening through a Bluetooth or internet connection and a device. And in the future, we're gonna cut out the device, or rather, the device is just gonna be in our heads. We won't even have to speak. We'll just think. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this super interesting technology, guys. And if you have anything else that you'd like me to discuss or bring up in a video, please message me on Instagram or Twitter, or just leave a comment. I love you all. I'll see you next time.